G'day. Today we're going to take a look at installing a bilge pump with a MagnetX switch in it in my Mirage 580. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to be installing a bilge pump with a MagnetX switch into the Mirage 580. So parts we're going to need, obviously, the bilge pump with the hose and water outlet for the deck. You're going to want the MagnetX switch. So this is a magnet operated switch, so it can stay in underneath the day hatch where it's dry and will never get affected, or hopefully never get affected by the salt water. Magnet sits on the top of the deck with a bungee cord. You just slide it across the deck and it activates the switch. You're going to want a battery box for inside the day hatch with a couple of waterproof joiners to let the cables in. You're going to want your battery. This is a 1.3 amp hour 12 volt battery, and you're going to want some adhesive velcro tape. That's just to tape the box into a secure spot inside the day hatch. Now, as far as tools go, you want some wire strippers, a drill, some heat shrink for sealing off your wire cables when you join them, and a step drill for getting the hole into the deck for the water outlet, and of course the trusty Sikaflex. Okay, so first things first, we're going to have to drill a hole in the cockpit back through into the day hatch to run the wire through for the bilge pump. Now these are just a PG9 waterproof connector. It's a 16mm hole that I'm going to drill into the back of the wall of the cockpit. And then I'm going to Sikaflex that up and screw it in nice and tight. So now with that done, what I've done is I've put a bit of heat shrink around these cables. I'll heat that and seal it, but I've lined it up with where it's going to come through that flange in there. I'm just going to feed the wires through and seal it off. Okay, so next I need to drill the hole for the deck mount for the water outlet, and that's where the step drill comes into place. You're going to need to drill I think it's a 20mm hole for this to go through into the cockpit as well. And then we're going to Sikaflex that up and screw it off too. So time to drill yet another hole in my boat. We're just going to apply some Sikaflex on this as well. And there's our water outlet mounted onto the deck. Okay, so the next thing I've got to do is the battery box. Now, I've got a watertight battery box here. And our battery that we're going to mount in there. And then we've got two more of these waterproof or water resistant flanges to mount in here. One for the wire to go into from the MagnetX switch, and one for the wire to come out of to go back through to the bilge pump. Anyway, let's get to drilling this up. going to whack a bit of Sikaflex around these as well. And there we go. So next I'm going to feed the wire for the switch through, because we need that on the inside before we can terminate it. And then I'm going to put the battery terminals on the end. Now there are 4 wires with this switch. There's a black, a red, and then there's a black and a red with what I think is possibly a green or yellow stripe down it. Anyway, the striped black and red, that's the ones that go to your bilge pump, and the solid black and red, that's the ones that go to your battery terminal. So I'm just going to crimp those on. We want to join our wires to the bilge pump first before I connect that battery up. So time to get the soldering on. So now, just going to connect our battery. There we go. Now, we run our, we can hear the pump start up as soon as the magnet passes over. Now what happens, this will sit under the deck like this. When the magnet passes over, the pump starts. So our next job is to Sikaflex that up in underneath, and to do that we're going to have to roll the boat over upside down, and then we're going to have to let it dry before we can put the switch on. So the other thing that I need to Sikaflex is the bilge pump down to the floor of the kayak, just so it doesn't roll around and move. Yeah, I'll do that later, because I can only have the boat up one way while it dries. So first things first, we'll Sikaflex the switch into the ceiling of this day hatch, roll the boat upside down to do that, let it dry, and we'll roll it back. We'll mount our magnet on the top with the bungee cord and mount the bilge pump on the inside. And before that sets, I'm just going to use the magnet to test that the switch does work. Handy little trick for you. I don't know if you can see too well, but yeah, if you want to see up in there, you can use your camera on your mobile phone, turn that on, and it gives you a good view of inside the day hatch. Okay, so we're giving this time to dry now. I've had to move indoors because it's raining outside, and I don't want it to get wet while everything's still drying. So all we've got left to do now is we've got to Velcro the battery box into the inside of the bulkhead. We've got to Sikaflex our bilge pump to the bottom of the hull, and we've got to mount our magnet to operate the switch. Piece of Velcro. And this. The other side here. Now all we've got to do, line up where we want that on the bulkhead, stick the other piece on. I'm just going to mark the point at which our switch turns on. Okay, so that's where our switch engages. We need to mount our deck line guides. One here. We'll put one here. Alright, so that was a catastrophic failure. Busted the bottom out of the tube. So, anyway, we can still make do. Now we're just adding some Sikaflex to the bottom of the bilge pump so that that will stick to the floor. Okay, so I've mounted that in with enough room between the bulkhead and the pump so that I can still unhook the little buttons on either side to pull the pump out if need be. And I'll just leave the strainer on the bottom. And I've taken the hose off because the force of that was just pushing the pump away, and I need it to just rest in place until it dries. Now for the test. Perfect. Trim this off. Okay, and that's it, we're done. So as soon as that dries, the pump there, I'll attach the hose, and that's it, good to go. All set up for some hands-free bailing. It's gonna be a lot easier than using a manual pump, I can tell you that. Anyway, hope this has been helpful for you. If you like my content, hit subscribe, hit like, hit the bell notification so that you get alerted to any new videos, and until next time, get out beyond your backyard. So just put a bit of Sikaflex into these holes. Oh shit!